The first artwork I chose for this assignment is Modern Rome, Campo Vaccino, an 1839 landscape painting by British artists Joseph Mallord William Turner, J.M.W. Turner for short. Turner, who lived from 1775 to 1851, was an English Romantic painter, printmaker, and watercolorist. He was known as the "painter of light" due to his inclination towards using brilliant colors in his landscapes and seascapes. During his lifetime, Turner has put out more than 550 oil paintings, 2,000 watercolors, and 30,000 works on paper. He was championed by the leading English art critic, John Ruskin, in the 19th century, and is today regarded as having elevated landscape painting to an eminence rivaling history painting. Modern Rome by Campo Vaccino is Turner's final painting of Rome and was owned by the family of the 5th Earl of Rosebery since 1878, until the painting came to auction in 2010, where it was purchased by the Getty Museum. Modern Rome Campo Vaccino is a landscape vision of the excavated Roman Forum, or public square, still called Campo Vaccino. The cow pasture, shimmering in misty light. It is the last of Turner's 20-year series of views of the city. Turner has painted the landscape at the peak of his career, from studies and sketches he made on 2 visits of the city. It was finished in 1839. Many features of classical, Renaissance, and Baroque Rome can be seen in the canvas, but the foreground contains indicators of modern life also, such as the goatherds seen at the bottom left of the painting. 10 years after his final journey to Rome, Turner envisioned the Eternal City through the shining veil of memory and imagination. Baroque churches and ancient monuments in and around the Roman Forum seem to dissolve in shimmering light shed by a moon rising at the left and the sun setting behind the Capitoline Hill at the right. Amid these splendors, the city's inhabitants carry on with their daily activities. Turner had depicted in a painting a view of modern Rome in modern day, meaning during his time in the 1800s, under the hazy light of a rising moon and setting sun. Modern Rome is really a memory of Turner's experience when he was there a decade earlier. The area Turner painted was used for cow pasture, which I consider sad because it's the desecration of what was once a great civilization. You can see the ruins of the ancient world, plus buildings made out of those ruins, and also the ruins being used by the present-day people. It is a depiction of a living place, an evocation of the past that is still being used in the present. This fascinated Turner, who tried to convey the idea with extraordinary palette, bright yellows, purples, lavenders. It's almost as if he had taken crushed opals and used them to make the viewer's eye move like a pinball through this painting. In the picture you see both sunlight and moonlight. The inspiration for that was a poem by Lord Byron titled Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, published 2 decades earlier. 2 lines of that poem set you up for what you're seeing. The moon is up and yet it is not night. Sunset divides the sky with her. Turner was at the height of his game when he made this painting. His work was made of an inseparable combination of immersion in nature, which is what you see here, and reverence with the art of the past. He was also extraordinary in that he experimented in both technique and in materials he used. To give you a better context of this painting, there was an aristocratic tradition of what was known as the Grand Tour at the time, where upper-class young European men with sufficient means and rank would travel through Europe when they had come of age, usually accompanied by a tutor or a family member. And paintings of the sites these wealthy travelers visited, such as Turner's Campo Vaccino, often served as souvenirs and status symbols. These artworks were seen as evidence of one's encounters with the sublime. What sets apart Campo Vaccino from this category of artworks is that Turner painted it 10 years after his final visit to Rome. It's important to point out that the power of memory was considered very important during the Romantic period. It was considered a bridge between reality and spirituality due to how sensory experiences of the physical world blend with the internal experiences of emotions. Poets like William Wordsworth spoke of the value of memory in their own work. For instance, Wordsworth's poem "Lines Written a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey" reflects of how the memory of this home saw him through difficult times while traveling. In the same way, Turner saw the perks of allowing memory to guide his brush. After completing modern Rome, Turner never made another painting of the city. Perhaps the memory was too precious to poke at any longer. One meaning I've derived from this artwork is that civilizations rise and fall, no matter how great and invincible they may have been at a certain point in time. What was once a great empire, such as the Roman Empire, can later become a desolate land visited only by shepherds. And that's a humbling fact. The second painting I chose for this assignment is an 1819 portrait titled "Study of the Model Joseph", made by Jean-Louis André Theodore Géricault, a French painter and lithographer. Despite his short life, he died at the age of 32, Géricault was one of the pioneers of the Romantic movement. This brilliant painting by Géricault depicts a man known as Joseph, whose full name is unknown. Joseph was born in Saint-Domingue, today's Haiti. He immigrated to France, where he found employment as an acrobat before being recruited by Géricault as a model. Joseph became renowned in the studios of Paris and acquired a small bit of celebrity status due to his physical beauty. He eventually won a competitive position as a model at the École des Beaux-Arts, France's premier art school. Although we don't know much about the sitter, the artist, Theodore Géricault, has captured the sitter's character with great sympathy and spontaneity. He shows Joseph's head emerging from a very dark background, spotlit in a way that casts tremendous contrasts of white and dark shadow. If you notice his color, for example, there are great broad patches of light and shadow that make the painting quite dramatic. It creates a theatrical foundation, which is essentially emotional and passionate rather than objective and cold and distant. Géricault clearly wants to convey something about Joseph's inner emotional life with this portrait. This may be a common artistic approach today, but back in 1818, when this portrait was made, it was rather innovative. Theodore Géricault often included black people in his works, due in part to his support of abolitionism, the accounts of slave rebellions in Haiti, and the fascination with exotic cultures that he shared with many of his contemporaries, basically painting the African male as a noble savage of sorts. You might think this man's face reflects the exasperation at being ogled at so much. In short, study of the model Joseph was reflective of the abolitionist spirits of the 17 and 1800s, and how humanizing depictions of blacks, like this portrait, have spurred the abolition of slavery around the world. Art can make a positive impact.